program develop?
This is my 7th year at Mississippi State, and we've done just like a process. It takes time, and it's been step by step by step. And some of my first kids that I coached here, Jessica Cooley is our director of ops now, and then Kayla Winkfield and Caroline Seitz. They've really just put the foundation of Mississippi State softball of my era on their backs and helped me continue to put in the values and character and the culture that we wanted. And you can see each class pass it down to the next class. And one of the neatest things I just heard Holly say was Mia's already just a freshman and already a great leader and humble. And I think that says that she feels good about the future of our program. She feels good in that she has taught all she can teach, and that it's in good hands moving forward. And I think that's what we've done well at Mississippi State, is that each leadership has passed it on to the next class and the next class, and it's showing up in the process. And that we've earned our first number 2 seed in my era. It's the first one since 2008. We're the highest RPI that we have been since I've been at Mississippi State. I think we were as high as 15 at one point, and I think we're coming into the tournament at 20. And then also we were consistently ranked in both polls 8 or 9 weeks at anywhere from 18 to 25, 8 or 9 weeks of the season. And that is a first. All of those things are first for my era, and it just says that the kids that I started with bought into what I was doing, and they've sold it for me each year, and they continue to sell it, and that's important. You got to build your culture, and I think that's what we've done, and we'll continue to do.
What do you think you have to do to take the next step and get into super?
Well, like the girl said, the biggest thing is to, one, trust themselves and know that the battles of the conference are preparing them for this moment. And sometimes you let the battles of the conference get between your ears and tear you down, instead of letting that battle be like a good type mentality and it builds you up. And like, man, I faced some really great pitching, or I've pitched to some really great hitters, and that has prepared me for this, instead of, oh, that's torn me down. So I do believe Mia was talking about trust, and I think a lot of it is between the ears. And then two, really buy into, we've got to let the noise stay out. We've got to focus on us and focus on the process of one pitch at a time, and try to limit the momentum shifts. If we're focused on one pitch at a time, it doesn't matter if something bad happened on one pitch, because you're going to have the next pitch. And if we can get ourselves present quickly, we have the tools, we have the hitters, we have the speed, we have the power, we have the average, we have the speed, we have the pitching, we have the defense. We have everything in place. Now I believe it's a mental belief and a buying into, let's don't get caught up in the momentum swings of the game. Let's really play pitch to pitch. One bad thing happens, so what? We've got the next pitch to throw or the next pitch to hit. As long as we can limit those momentum downs and get ourselves present, the faster we can be present, the better chance that we're going to be able to succeed.
What's special about Mia as a player?
Holly touched on this a little bit. She's very savvy. She's got a high softball IQ without knowing it. It comes to her. It's not something that she has to try. She doesn't have to sit and study film and study film and study film. The film, what she watches on film already it just helps how she's already thinking. And that's natural for her. It's not something that I think anybody ever taught her. I think she grew up with her dad out playing ball, and that's what her and her sister, we have her sister as well, who's an equally as good softball player, can hit it just as far. That's what they did. They watched ball, they played ball, and her mind absorbed it differently than, if I went out to play the piano with Liberace, I'm not going to be Liberace, right? But somebody else might, just by watching and playing. And that's just how her brain functions, and her her skill, her body is able to catch. There's some kids who have it in the brain but don't have the body. And she's just a very special, um, 1 in a million type softball players, or maybe not 1 in a million, 1 in 100. But if she was a dude, she wouldn't be playing college softball or college baseball. She would have signed a signing bonus and she'd be in somebody's farm league right now. And it comes from her brain and then her body having the skill to do it. She's really smart. She's a great bad ball hitter. She's a good strike hitter. She anticipates things that she doesn't even know that play that Holly's talking about. She hears it and puts her foot on the bag. She doesn't know, oh, I need to be listening to this. She's not thinking, I need to be listening for the ball so I can put my foot on the bag. She just heard it and reacted. It's a softball IQ. It's instinctual, and it's something that I think it's God-given that she's been able to polish along the way. And I'm really happy to just be here to help her polish a little bit. And she's really a great person, and I've talked about her person more than I've talked about her skills along the way. She's really just a great person as well, and probably a better person than she is a softball player, and that's saying a lot. Her teammates like her. She's humble. She encourages them to be better. She makes our whole team better. Everybody around her our whole team's gotten better because she's been on our team.
I mean, was that something that you saw coming when she came into the program?
Absolutely. She and her sister came to a camp when they were in the 8th and 9th grade, and I said, man, those kids could play for us right now. And at the time, 8th and 9th grade, that's like a baby. And that summer rolled around, and I went to a tournament, and I'm like, why am I waiting on this? These kids could play for us right now. So I offered both of them, and they committed on Father's Day before their 9th and 10th grade years. And it's a big moment because their dad is, both their parents are really invested in all three of their kids. And they're not those, they just want their kids to be successful. They're very supportive. And so committing on Father's Day was a huge, special moment for their family, and a huge moment for Mississippi State, because I knew we had somebody special. And matter of fact, other coaches called me and congratulated me on the hitter that I had just gotten committed, which the biggest stressor then was, how do I keep her committed for the next 4 years? I've got to keep these vultures away, right?
So it sounds like this year was one of the best seasons you've had as a program. So having players like that, young players, I mean, does that make you optimistic that the best is yet to come for your program?
Absolutely. It is all part of the process, and some people are a little less patient than maybe I am, but the future is bright. We're handing it over. Our seniors are handing it over to this freshman, and this freshman class is really very talented, and what we have coming in, the future is very bright. The future for college softball is bright. It's the golden era of college softball right now. TV, and it's just really fun watching these kids. All of them, like 10-year-olds, you'd go watch to play back in the day, just at the ballpark, and they couldn't catch and throw, or they come to your camp and they can't catch and throw. Well, you got 10-year-olds that know what's going on, all because of TV, and you got some kids coming in and they know how to catch and throw, and I'm like, wow, and that's what these generation of kids are doing for those generation of kids. And it's just the program's on the rise, softball's on the rise. It's so fun to be a part of it.
What do you think about just playing in this stadium? And I know Arizona is one of the most historic programs. What do you think? When you think about Arizona, what comes to mind?
History. These kids, didn't really grow up watching Arizona play. They watched the parody of our sport. Now, when you talk to me, there was no TV. There was no games on TV. The one game on TV was UCLA Arizona in the championship game. That was the only game on TV. And I can remember being in college in my family, my mom and dad's den, watching UCLA Arizona play with my chin dropped to the floor, like, this is what I'm going to do one day. Now, I was already in college, and I was playing and loving every minute of it, and I wasn't going to get to play there, but I was going to do it, and I was going to be there. So Arizona is part of my softball history. you have to they paved the way. Arizona and UCLA paved the way for these kids to get to do what they're doing, and it's so cool that Candrea is still here doing it. And he's an icon in our sport and a Hall of Famer, and coaches the U.S. team. And, but when you say all of that, I'm very proud to be here with my team, and we have just as great an opportunity to do what they are doing as they do. It's an opportunity to play. It's like going to the Smithsonian. You're playing in a historical ballpark. It's the last year of it. We're going to be the last games they play on their stadium, and it really is a unique experience. And these kids have no idea, which is great. They didn't grow up. They grew up watching the sport bloom in parity. And I grew up watching Lisa Fernandez and Susie Parra and Jenny Dalton Hill and all those kids battle it out. And Jenny Dalton Hill does our interviews in the SEC Network. And after the interview's over, I have to say, hey, that kid was a 4-time All-American at Arizona. She hit bombs. And they're like, oh, really? That's cool. They have no idea, which is great. So it's good for me, and it's a little bit more fun for me to be here than it is for them, because they probably don't realize all the George Washington stuff that I do.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.